Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're here again at Sweet Remedy for the B graders. But when I say we, I'm all alone. Matt Tognini is at the Garda Bike Hotel being a guide to all of the clients over there for the next couple of weeks. He got asked to go over there and help out our old mate, Andrea, who's not doing too well at the moment. So he's gone to Italy for 2 weeks, riding his bike up and down their hills, eating pasta, drinking wine, and he's going to consider that work, which is classic Tognini. But all the best to Tognini, all the best to Andrea, and I hope he has a good 2 weeks while he's away. Been a lot of bike racing over the weekend. West Coast Masters Cycling Club were up at Pickering Brook, and Andy Brearley won again. A-grade, what are you doing? Brearley's going to keep on winning if you don't do something about it. Merv Byfield, one of the board members of the West Coast Masters Cycling Club, gave me a phone call yesterday. There's been a little bit of to and froing up there with Kalamunda and Pickering Brook and a few residents. Very happy to say there was incident free at Pickering Brook yesterday. The police are out there having a good eye on what was going on. Racing started at 9 o'clock, it was all over by 11:30, and everyone was happy at the end. Well done to West Coast Masters Cycling Club. Now, our girls, we talk about them every week, Jess Allen and, of course, the WNT girls. Well, the WNT girls had another win at the weekend. Katie Archibald won the Cycle Classic. I hope I got that right. They'll have a bit of a giggle. She had a good win racing over all of the gravel roads around Melton and Malray in the UK. Well done to Katie. This week, Peel are back in town. They are going to have their Saturday afternoon racing. The West Coast Masters are at Casuarina this weekend. And don't forget, the next round of the Element Series is coming up at Pickering Brook. You get a discount if you get in early. The Element Series giving everyone an opportunity to race for something this year. Sort of like the old Road Rider of the Year series, but of course it's being promoted so much better this time and so much to look forward to. Now, last week on the show, we asked you to send us your best question. You can send it to matt1@iinet.net.au. We had a very good email from Bob Molden, and we said there'd be a pair of socks coming out. Bob, pair of socks on their way to you. Bob gave us some great feedback, something we've definitely taken on board, and we look forward to seeing Bob with a photo of his new socks very shortly. This week, we have a special guest coming up on the show. The man of the moment's going to join me very shortly. Well, as I said, the man of the moment, Michael Freiberg, is here. He had a great weekend. Welcome, Michael. Now, he had a great weekend for one simple reason. He took out the overall at the Goldfields Sir Classic. How was it, mate? The form must be good.
Yeah, the form's coming along really well. It was absolutely fantastic weekend down there. Perfect weather for it, 25 degrees, sunny, blue skies, not a cloud in sight. And we worked really well together. A-grade didn't miss a beat.
You know, you got up the road with the young Bryson Lanigan on day one, which goes Menzies. No, it goes Cal to Menzies now.
Yep.
And then the next day goes Menzies to Leonora. So it's like a 2-day tour, really, isn't it? But it's 2 individual races first.
Well, the prize money is 2 individual races, but it's a big 2-day tour. So there's an overall prize as well. But it's one of the biggest races in Australia, biggest handicap, most well-paying handicap in the country.
Yep.
And yeah, what a fantastic weekend.
And a good weekend for the pros of the bunch, it would be fair to say. The ISO way, Michael Freiberg, and of course the man who won on day 2, Theo Yates, Drapac rider Theo Yates. Good win for him. And of course he also had Victorian Sam Lane was in the mix there as well, going quite nicely. So one or two teams not represented, few teams represented, but the individuals tended to take it out this weekend.
Well, yeah, it's you got to put your best foot forward. Saddlers got up there on the first day with the second with Bryce. Theo got up there on the second day, and then Matt Peterson came in third on the second day. So it was a good mix of guys on the podium. Absolutely top level riders all round. It's not a race you can go to with no form, because those tough roads and rolling through for 2-3 hours on end really going to got to get at the legs. And
quite possibly the best weather the Kalgoorlie weekend has had in the last couple of years. And it was worthwhile. The gold nugget, which is the trophy that everyone receives. Special mention, obviously, we've got Mike here, which is fantastic, but Erin Nolan took out the overall in the women's event. She won day number 1, and Anna Heights, who fell off on day 2, got back on her bike and finished off and won day 2. Erin Nolan taking out the overall for the weekend, so well done to Erin. Australia's richest handicap, the Goldfields Sir Classic, which was fantastic. See, now, something that old school cyclists don't know how to handle is the fact that you are proudly, first of all, promoting your air hub, which you designed, but this 10-hour-a-week training program, and you're going as good as any pro in Australia, domestic pro in Australia, on 10 hours a week.
Well, that's it. A lot of people think that you need to do big hours, but it goes back to the old Chris Boardman thing where he broke the hour record off just 10 hours a week of training. So it's not the amount of hours you have training, it's the amount of quality you can do and how balanced you can get your training program.
And how much recovery, we hear people talk about active recovery and just doing nothing. How much recovery do you put emphasis on in that training program?
Well, you really need to balance it because you can't be going hard every day. That's a mistake that a lot of people make. They try and go out there and belt themselves every day, and it just really ends up blunting you and it takes your top end out. So you've got to make it a mix. You've only got 10 hours to train that week. You've got to decide what days, maybe 2 days a week to go hard, and the rest you're going to go at a good pace, consistent training level, and just really keep the body ticking over, keep the metabolism up, and then you're looking for a long-term gain. That's the goal here.
There's a few coaches in WA. I've done a little bit of it over the years. You've got Brad Hall doing it, you've got Jack Bobridge doing it, Graham Brown doing it, Stephen Gallagher as well. You're doing a little bit of coaching behind the scenes as well, aren't you? Giving 1 or 2 programs out there?
Yeah. I'm doing a little bit of coaching behind the scenes, a bit of private stuff. It's good to get out there and share the knowledge. You can't just be a bike rider once you
So, if you're interested, he's a fairly easy bloke to find. I'm not saying that he's got time to see everyone, but he might have time to see you. You never know. It would be remiss of me not to mention 2 of the greatest of all time from the weekend. In B grade, we saw the man with the greatest hair in WA cycling, Doug Stewart, won B grade, and he actually ran 4th in the bunch kick with the A graders.
He did.
The old, and he's not an old boy, but for the old boys, Doug Stewart up there in the sprint finish. And then on day number 2, the greatest of all time himself, mechanic, Chris Glasby, took out B grade on day number 2. So well done to our old mates. We do like to poke fun at them, but we only poke fun at them, 1, because they're mates, and 2, because they ride bikes very well indeed. That's our wrap on the Goldfields at Sea Classic. Thanks, Michael. Now, something I did ask Michael about, we saw something brand new, a new initiative in professional cycling over the weekend called the Hammer Series. Now, it was 3 stages. There was a hilly bike race, a climbers race. There was a sprinters race, which was just diabolical, 10k dead flat circuit with some of the strongest bike riders in the world. Who would have thought what would have happened? People fell off and no one seemed to be able to get going. But then they had the final stage, and I asked Michael to get a little bit of an inside scoop from one of our Orica riders, the great Luke Durbridge. Teams time trial, work it out folks, teams time trial. But the leading team on GC started first, second team on GC started second, and third and fourth and down to the top 8. The idea being, first team across the line at the finish was the winner. So you're the leading team going into the last stage, and now you're going to get chased, reversed handicap style, as if it were. And we saw some of the greatest vision I've seen in cycling. Like, I'm all over this. Like, at first everyone was like, I don't know about the Hammer Series. But when you see, what was it?
It was probably 6 teams at
6
one point.
teams. It was Orica, Cannondale, Lotto, Movistar going into the corners. All on tri-bars, all on disc wheel bikes, absolutely flying. And then the sprint finish, Sky versus Sunweb, how good was that?
Oh, that was so good. That's some of the best footage I've ever seen, the on-bike cameras. You see these boys, full battle armour, disc wheels, tri-spokes, bumping shoulders with each other at 60k an hour.
I know, it was absolutely, on paper, I think the organisers trying to sell that to the commissaires would have been pulling their hair out.
Well, I don't think the commissaires or anyone knew what was going to happen.
No,
not until you put 100 bike riders on the track are you going to know just how tough these guys are and how much they're going to fight for that finish.
How much class, how much skill they've got as well, because you've ridden many time trial bikes. For those of you who have done time trialling out at the ATA Association, you know that your time trial bike is a lot twitchier. With the disc
goes
wheels
a lot faster and stops a lot slower.
Exactly right. And they're like, if you get to go onto YouTube, you can go onto the GCN Cycle Network. They did a great coverage of it. But watch the sprint finish between Sunweb and Sky, because it was the first 4 riders going across the line. They win the race, and there was one Sky rider who just got a little bit of drift in the sprint finish, and he had 3 Sunweb riders right on his tail, and he thought, oh, he's gone for all money here, but he hangs on and takes them on, and they're absolutely sprinting flat out on
sprint finish.
Funny bikes, as we used to call them.
Sprint finish is not something you normally see in a team's time trial.
It was absolutely fantastic. I hope that the Hammer Series, cycling needed something. It needs something. It needs something on the track as well. Of course, we've got the former world Omnium champion right here. What changes are we going to have to make to track cycling? We're going to have to go down the same sort of lines, surely, to get track cycling back to where it needs to be.
Yeah, that Velon series is absolutely incredible. You see with the Red Hook stuff coming out,
Yep.
Road racing on track bikes, that's a little bit too crazy for me.
We've talked about that before, and like somebody asked me, would I be prepared to be race director of one, and I said no.
No.
I don't even want to commentate one. I don't want to even near one. I'll watch it though. I'll definitely go and watch it.
So they've given it a crack with the Red Hook,
Yep.
but I still think it needs a little bit more adjustment before we're going to get Velon Hammer Series quality on the track.
Yeah, very much so. Folks, it's been a big deal to have Michael on board this week. Matt Tognini, have fun in Italy. We're going to leave you now with some more vision of the Goldfields Classic. A big thank you to the Elements Series, Cycle Sport Western Australia, and the Eastern Goldfields Cycling Club.